gotta cut this shit, bro. It's a lot of editing. It's a lot of editing. Just some basic sandwiches and a couple of crackers and some water. All right. How are you doing today?
Oh, a little bit.
Yeah.
Working hard,
Yeah. You staying on the street?
Yep.
Where do you sleep at night?
Oh, I Isa for Service Army.
Oh, okay.
Try to get a yard a day, like $30
Yeah.
or $20, for a day.
So you can sleep good. Where are you from?
Cuba.
You're from Cuba? Okay.
Cuba.
Okay, well, God bless you, sir. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Simone. God bless you,
Thank you. Take care. Okay, welcome to our very first episode of
Let It Marinate.
Okay, where are we from?
I'm from Chicago.
Where are we at?
Denver.
What's your name?
RJ.
My name is Nigel. This is our very first episode, and we are so proud to present Let It Marinate to you. And so we want to kick it off by shouting out Patricia.
Yeah.
At the local liquor store on Welton Street in 5 Points, Denver, Colorado, who hooked it up with, what is this, 99 brand root beer. A little intimidating.
Hey, to episode 1.
Episode 1. We in the building. Let's go.
Yeah. I get the root beer. That's root beer, bro.
That's kind of good.
I don't hate it.
That's kind of good.
My stomach doesn't like it.
No, that was kind of... You know what I want now?
Huh.
Ice cream.
Right.
You don't want a root beer float?
Fuck the podcast.
we gotta go get ice cream. Let's go. All right. Real talk. So one of the things that we wanted to get into was homelessness in Denver.
Well, the days are getting shorter and the nights are getting colder.
Of course, thousands of people are likely enduring this cold without the benefit of a home.
Survival may be an understatement for our homeless population as capacity at shelters begins to
Denver
increase.
is stepping up its street enforcement when it comes to homeless camps.
More than 12,000 people slept outside on Metro streets last.
Training this new street enforcement team with hopes of enforcing the urban camping ban.
How it affects people who live in Denver, how Denver compares to other cities, how homeless people feel about, how resources and money is being allocated. And then also, is homelessness being exploited, in one way or another?
And also just kind of like our own opinions on what's going don't take everything we say,
Yeah,
as truth.
Yeah, we have no idea what we're talking about. All right, cool. So first things first. So we set out today on a little mission, and so we did this thing, as you guys saw in the intro, where we handed out some sandwiches and some waters, and we just wanted to talk to people who are really living in these inner city encampments, which is just 2 blocks from where this is being filmed right now, where I live, where RJ and I have gotten to know each other over the last few years, and have worked within the city limits. I would say the biggest takeaway I have is just people being people, right? We encountered so many different people today, but none of it was Elizabeth didn't want to talk to us.
No, that was kind of weird.
But she was cool about it though. Hello. How are you? We're going around. We just wanted to talk to a couple people that are, unfortunately living on the streets, and we wanted to see if you might want a sandwich and a water or something, and then just kind of see what is it that you would want from the city to kind of help you out in your circumstances. Good to go. Okay. Can I? Yeah.
I'm okay.
Okay. You sure?
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. I live around here, so if I see you, what's your name?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. I'm Nigel. I'll make sure to say hi. Okay. Have a good day.
I think if I was homeless and living alone all the time, even at work, if I'm by myself for too long,
Yeah.
I start feeling lonely. So times that by 100 when you're living on the street
Yeah,
by
but
yourself.
I think it's almost like being in jail though.
I ain't going back. I ain't going back.
You kind of just
Well, it's like a defense mechanism, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And she doesn't know who the hell we are.
Right.
We just pulled up and we're like, "Hey, you want a sandwich?" And she's like, "I don't even fucking know you."
I'm gonna pull up like that, bro.
No, but
yeah.
but essentially,
shout out to Taylor. But go. Okay.
You want to tell that story real quick?
So we worked with oh my god, one of the greatest ever, Taylor. And he I don't know what this sandwich is. It's called the
Fluffernutter.
And what is it exactly? Because I don't.
It's peanut butter and marshmallow paste.
I don't know. But according to Taylor, real quick side story, it's the greatest thing ever. And I guess Taylor had a Fluffernutter packed for lunch one day at work, but he ended up buying lunch or something.
Which is crazy that this boy didn't eat the Fluffernutter.
Like on the way to work. You feel me? Like while he was making it. You know what I mean? So long story short, he didn't eat the Fluffernutter. And is it Fluffernutter? Is that
Fluffernutter?
Fluffernutter. That sounds like more like a porn, bro. Like,
well, no, that's a fluffer.
What about the nutter, bro? Like, okay, so he has this sandwich and he's on his way home and he's like, yo, I didn't eat the sandwich. And he sees a homeless lady walking down the street and he has like a big F-150, like, you know what I mean? So he like does this like dramatic U-turn and he like pulls up to her and he's like, yo.
Like he targeted her.
So he pulls up to this lady and he's like, yo, I got this Fluffernutter.
The Fluffernutter.
And she's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yo, you want this sandwich? And he's like really driving next to her as she's walking. And, well, it turns out she's not homeless.
She was running away from him.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. But, yeah, so anyway, here's the thing. The takeaway that I have is that people to people, they're real, right? Like she was very respectful in the way that she was like, yo, I don't have time right now to give you, you know, the answers to the questions that you have, and I don't want your food. And it's like,
it wasn't even that though. It was like she was shutting us out immediately, regardless of who we were. She didn't want to talk to anybody that was walking up.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, like, I'm not the most social person, but like I also do want some social interactions, right?
But I think that, yeah, I think that on that
maybe
level,
she's having a bad day. I don't know.
maybe, yeah.
Well, she probably is.
But you gotta cut this shit, bro. It's a lot of editing. It's a lot of editing. Well, a couple things. I would say this. Like you. So we can't look like we're like exploiting. We look like they are like we're about to have a job with like, what is it called? HD. What is it like?
What the fuck it was? Yeah.
No, but here's the thing. You know, the fact that you brought up like you know, I'm a social person because you work with social people. You live with like, you know, your wife and, you know, your friends with like all these people. You go to bars, but like homeless people don't experience that. So they're probably less, you know, apt to be social. Like they don't want that like what's that called? Like that amount of attention. They probably don't seek attention. Mm-hmm. They just kind of want to lay low and get through the day and survive. And I think that's different. And I think that like, you know, what was her name? Elizabeth? She has the resources that she needs to get by if she really.
Does she though? Like
I
don't know how far her resources go.
I mean, she has the homeless shelter, right?
Right,
like,
but we can get into that. But
yeah, let's get into that.
Like, is that really?
No, it's not. It's not at all that the answer to homelessness. Not at all. But I'm saying I respect her opinion. Her being like, yo, I don't want.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And actually, this is really cool because when we were out there filming Thomas, you guys probably saw a little clip of him.
What'd you say your name was? Thomas? All right, cool. All right, check it out, guys. So here we have Thomas. Thomas, I wanted to just take this opportunity to give you a little snack here, some cold water. So just kind of tell us about yourself. How long have you been living here?
Well, I've been here, I don't know, maybe probably last week or so.
Okay, it's about a week.
And give or take. And I've had to move around several times.
Yeah.
And, I'm trying to find a way to. I'm trying to find a stable place for me to live.
Yeah. Now, why are you moving around so frequently? Are you being forced to move or
Ordinances or whatever.
ordinances? Yeah.
And you know, I can't go there. I've been out to the mission, and it wasn't for me.
Wasn't for you. What kind of things did you run into that like?
It's a large amount of people, and I can't be in a large group of people.
Yeah.
You know, and I have different things.
Okay.
And I deal with everything, you know, weird things. Everybody should have freedom, you know?
We ran into these guys. They didn't want to be filmed, but they're doing basically like outreach work, and their whole goal is to get people into different housing and stuff like that. But they were super quiet. Like they didn't really want to go into. They didn't want to be filmed.
Do you mind if I film you guys?
We can't do interviews, I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries.
They didn't want to give an interview,
Which is dope, I think. Like I think that's
but
kinda
it
cool.
wasn't because they didn't want to do it. Because they were more than willing to talk to us.
Oh, you think the organization that they work for
That's exactly what
is
they
not
said to me.
allowing them to publicize what they're doing? Why?
Exactly.
Let's talk about why. I think publicity is a bad thing for companies who are probably not 100% transparent and honest in how they're gaining, you know, some of the monetary funds and then, you know, providing resources. So I'm not discrediting any of these people. I'm just saying, like, you know, maybe it's possible that well, you told me this. How much money was spent on homelessness
So
last year?
yeah, so I don't know last
Or-
year. This year's this year's verified budget is $483 million.
$483 million.
Like
$483 million.
483 mm.
And so that's just to like solve the homelessness crisis.
That's gonna solve it.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
we're
yet,
done. There's no more homeless after
and yet
43, right?
Yeah. And so we drive through downtown Denver. We drive through neighborhoods like 5 Points where I live at, and we see encampments.
Yeah.
Do you think that 430 whatever million is that like justified money? Do you feel like that's like is there ROI? I guess is there a return on investment?
I mean, I don't know, but I feel like that. So, for example, when you look at like Chicago, right? So
Okay.
Chicago spent like $215 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
$215 million.
I think that's their 2020 budget.
Okay.
Is $215 million.
Gotcha.
And they have 5,000 homeless people in Chicago.
5,000
in a city. So this is really important, right? So
the whole city, bro.
Yeah. So there's something called a point in time survey, and there's a lot of different cities that use this survey. So this is basically on tonight we're doing the survey. So today, March 22nd, we're gonna do the survey, and we say this is how many homeless people.
It's live. It's like a live feed.
It's a snapshot. So this is how many people that we found homeless tonight, and most of it comes from people in shelters, right? Because it's really hard to count the number of people living on the streets. Obviously,
okay,
right?
so the number is a little skewed.
So you're never going to get 100% accurate number on the amount of homeless people. But if we say it's 5,000 and it turns out it's 7,000, like if I actually have it pulled up right here. So for example, this right here, this is Chicago's homeless numbers. This goes from 2005 to 2019, right? So it ranges from like 5,000 to 6,200, but overall
significantly lower.
Overall, over 14 years, it stays about the same.
But significantly lower than like
per capita when you look at Denver. So Denver has between 5,000 and 10,000. Again, I'll get back to the point in time reference, but for example, Chicago kind of like just plateaued, right? We have this amount of people that are homeless right now at any given time, and they have 3 million people. Okay, so Denver, on the other hand, has also about 5,000 to 10,000 homeless people, depending on the survey that you look at. Okay, so when you look at the point in time survey, and Denver is not really including the unsheltered population. So they're basically going off of the only people that are sheltered, right?
Which is crazy, because if you saw the intro, you saw how many encampments there are just within a few blocks. But yeah,
and the reason that they said that because before 2020, they said, oh, we count the unsheltered population, so they have the ability to do it. But then they said 2020 came around, and we all know what happened then. Yeah. And they said, "Oh no, it's not safe." And they didn't really specify who it's safe for.
Gotcha.
They just said it's not safe to count it, right? And we know, like, we're out there right now, and the amount of tents and everything that we see is outstanding. Like, there's a lot of tents. So clearly that number is much larger.
It was a lot of people that probably don't even have the very basics. Well, let's talk about what Thomas said. Thomas said he would prefer to be on the streets as opposed to being in a shelter.
And he was concerned about being around a lot of
people. And what takeaways did you get from Thomas? Like, what was like, what did you take from that?
He never said this. I feel like he might be a veteran.
Okay,
it was like a lot of camo going on.
Yeah.
A little American flag going on.
His mask was I don't know if you
an
saw
American
that.
flag, the flag.
Yeah.
Everybody should have freedom.
In terms of him being a veteran, I wish we would have brought that up. We didn't. Missed opportunity, but he's a couple blocks away, so we could holler at him next time we see him. We'll talk to him. I think my biggest takeaway from Thomas was like, he almost just seemed kind of like genuinely. Like think about like that entire encampment, right? It was like 10 tents, and he was the only one who was like publicly visible. Where I was
his feet were sticking out.
Yeah, I was like, hey, bro, like, what's up, man? Like, I was able to talk to him, and instantly he was like, I was like, yo, let's have a conversation.
Which, by the way, is funny because like he was really receptive to talking to somebody, but when talking to him, he wasn't like the most outgoing person.
Yeah, and I don't like socially. I don't. Have an expectation.
I get it. Like, some random strangers come up to you and want to ask you about your fucking life.
Yeah. I think what was most interesting to me is like when I was like, yo, if it was like, if you can ask the mayor for one thing or tell him one thing, what would you tell him? And he didn't really have an answer. And that's
literally
okay.
said, he was like, I honestly don't know, because at that point you can't think that far ahead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
you can't be like, well, if I was gonna tell the mayor something,
Yeah. I think that's interesting because. Yeah, I mean, because people who do think that far ahead maybe aren't homeless. But so that would be the number one thing as far as Thomas goes, and then the other number two as far as Thomas goes for me was how open he was willing to how openly he was willing to have the conversation. Like, I thought that was cool.
You're absolutely right, but what I was getting to is that he said himself that after all this talking to him and how he doesn't want to go to a shelter and everything, then he finally goes, well, and also my mental health.
Yeah, but like that surprises you, or
it doesn't surprise me at all.
I have mental health issues. Like, I think we all do. Right? It's like a spectrum. Yeah, and to your point, I guess like him acknowledging that, I think is it says a lot, right? Like,
I mean he. Yeah. I don't know anything about this dude, but he is like, to me, the embodiment of like what Jocko would say is extreme ownership, right?
Oh, like
he never once
he didn't blame anybody.
He didn't complain at all.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not in the best situation. I just got to get stable, right? So like, to me, even though he sounded kind of depressed for good reason, he sounded depressed, but like he felt hopeful, and he's already planning on getting out of this.
Yo. To like further your point, I go. He was like, "Yeah, I have to move every 7 days," and I was like, "Are you being forced to move?" And he was like, "No," and he goes, "Well, like citations and like ordinances," but he never was like, "Yes, these people are making me move." Like, he was very like, he wasn't like playing the victim. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't like trying to like be like, yo, just
never.
It's
never
everyone else's fault. It's not my fault. He was about his, and he
And honestly, like, I wish we had more time that we could sit down and talk to him, because I feel like he's just like, so when you talk to like homeless people, there's a lot of like mental health to the
It could go any way.
extreme.
It could go
right?
any way. Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people when we were
Yeah.
driving around, we just didn't talk to them because we're like this conversation is going to go nowhere.
Yeah, like if you're not even like capable of like forming a sentence, like whatever it is you're going through, I wish you nothing but the best, but like this is not. We just can't have.
We
this
can't understand
conversation.
each other if we can't.
Yeah.
If we can't communicate,
yeah, we can't have.
Bro,
that
same
conversation.
time. Thank you.
That's what's up.
What up?
Wait, Jinx, you owe me a beer. Oh, is it good? Also,
yeah, it's good.
It's almost gone.
Juicy,
like, where's the rest of it?
Don't worry about I got it right here.
You fucked this shit up.
I saved
bro.
it.
You saved it. Shout out to Crystal Springs.
Is that juicy or what?
Can I try it first?
I don't know. Are you gonna?
Yeah, I'm looking at what it is.
Well, stop reading and start
I kind of
drinking.
feel like they just peeled this label on here. Like, look at this, bro.
I mean,
like, this that ghetto. You know what? I don't even. It's ghetto, bro. I don't want this shit. But listen up. Elizabeth was more interesting to me.
So no, she wasn't more interesting.
Yeah, she was. She was. Cause we
go.
Yeah, it's like. Before we get to Elizabeth, and I'm gonna make my point on this. What was the other dude's name from Cuba? I don't think we got his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was very receptive. He was like when I gave him like a sandwich, he was like looking to see like what was next, like what else was I gonna give him, and we had a brief conversation. There was like a language barrier.
Wait! I want to cut you off right there because
Yeah.
I don't think he was looking at you like, what else are you gonna give me?
Yeah,
Is that the vibe you got? Because I didn't feel that.
What I was like this close to him.
You were very close. You might have.
Yeah. No, like I saw like he didn't. Do you realize the light turned green and he never went back to the sidewalk? He just stood
Well,
the
there
police
was
out
cars on the other side.
Yeah, but he couldn't
he couldn't just walk back.
No.
He was gonna get
no,
run
but
over.
I'm saying is like I'm looking at the light. Like when it turns green, I'm gonna go. He's just like, yo, I'm here for whatever y'all got.
But he was okay. Yeah. But it wasn't
I
because
guess
he wanted more stuff.
Sure. Yes or
like
yeah.
He kind of like felt important. Like someone just pulls up.
Okay, that's my point. Elizabeth was just like, I'm cool.
Yeah, she was in her own world.
It was like, yo, you want a sandwich though? Like we just want to talk to you. You like, she's like, I'm good, and we were like, okay, like we have a couple questions. Like we weren't pushing it hard or whatever.
Yeah.
But she was like, no, and she wasn't rude. That to me, that's interesting.
No,
so,
she wasn't. Yeah.
So I guess my question is,
she didn't strike me as like crazy.
No, she was 100% there.
100%.
I think 100%.
I don't think 100%.
Yeah.
Because
when we pulled up, are me and you 100% there?
No. But when we pulled up, she said something like, "I'm not taking questions at this time."
That's fair.
Yeah, but that sounds
fair.
like a person that's like that in their mind thinks that they're at a different level than they're at.
I just wish I knew. I don't want to like try to like come up with like the reason why she is the way she is without knowing her story or how she got here.
No,
but I
that's
guess my point is like the juxtaposition between like we have like these people who are very receptive and they want to have the conversation. They love not necessarily the attention, but just like the friendship and like the camaraderie and like us like taking the time to like get to know them and all these things. So there's that side, and then there's the other side that's like, oh, maybe they feel like they're being exploited. Wait, by the way, is that a thing?
Well, so hang on. I don't think that, because I do want to get into this, but I don't think that the homeless people themselves are at that point where they're like, I'm being exploited. And for example, Thomas was a good reason. Like we asked him, how much money Denver's spending, and he didn't really know. He just
was
said,
like, I heard
a
rumors.
lot of money.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So that's like a lack of information to the homeless because they don't have cell phones.
No, but I'm talking about Elizabeth though.
Right.
Elizabeth didn't. She was like I kind of get it. I think if I was homeless, I'd be more like Elizabeth than I would be like Thomas. For me.
But do you think that if you're homeless right now, your personality would change? Because you're very outgoing. I would be Elizabeth.
You look like one. You gotta cut that.
No, that's staying in.
No, you gotta today. You gotta cut that out, bro. 10 years ago, that could stay. Yes, no. You might be right. You might be right. So how are you more Elizabeth than I am?
I'm more Elizabeth because like I don't like engaging with. So for example, like if someone walks up to me on the street, I'm already on the defensive because I feel like you want something from me. Which we did. She's 100% right. We did want something from her. We wanted an interview.
And I think her point is like, yo, where have y'all been when I really needed y'all? Now you want to come up on your time? And I think she's like, I think that was her angle. She's like, oh, you got cameras and food. And she's right to an extent. So I guess what we're saying the same thing. There's levels to homelessness.
I want to talk about this because, so right now, Denver has like between 5,000 and 10,000 homeless people, depending on the point in time survey that you look at. In 2012, there was 16,000 homeless people in the Denver metro area. Okay, 16,000 people. By 2013, there was 9,000 people.
Homeless people.
Yeah. So they almost in 1 year. They almost cut it in half.
Yeah, but is that them saying that?
No. So, do you know what happened in 2012?
2012. Wow. No, I don't.
Colorado passed the urban camping ban.
Okay.
And then presumably enforced it to drop it that far. To drop it and this is again all of Colorado, not just Denver. So they enforced this ban, and they immediately cut it in half.
It's almost like I don't know. You guys in the comments, let me know if I'm wrong. But it's almost like when like these like police stations, they come out and they go, yeah, we cut crime down. Oh, because you didn't report on like half of them.
So, which brings me to another point. So there's something called the Metro Denver Housing Initiative, right? And they're kind of one of these many. There's a whole bunch of these groups, right? That report on the homelessness, and they're like a go between the homeless person and getting housing.
Like a vehicle.
Yeah. They don't. After all this research,
they don't do anything.
I don't really know exactly what they do, other than being like, hey, here's your Google.
They quarterback like facilities to help actual people.
Exactly.
Okay, so on that note, I would ask this question, like, because you put me onto them only a few days ago, like 2 days ago, so I don't really know enough about them to really like form, a respective opinion. But I do know this, like, it feels very corporatized. Going to their website, right? Like clicking on About Us.
Yeah.
Kind of like, if you want to pull that up, yeah. Okay.
I would love to.
The way my internet's set up. How do you feel about institutions like what's the acronym?
MDHI.
Having like a PR spokesperson. Does that mean that you've gotten too big to kind of like?
It doesn't.
Okay.
So for example, the guys that we were talking to earlier today,
they work within.
They work with an MDHI kind of company, right? I'm sure those are
good guys, though.
They were very good guys, and like their hearts are in the right place, and there's nothing wrong with them and what they're doing. But what they said to us is, oh, we can't do interviews. And at first you're like, oh, you can't do it. Like, why can't you do it? Yeah. But it makes sense. Like, imagine being at work and getting the dumbest person that works there.
Yeah.
And you can't kill a person with no body.
And then someone walks in and is like, can I interview you?
Is that your take on it? Because I have a different take. My take is this. Is if you want to help homeless people, you would want everybody and anybody on board.
Yes.
Unless you're becoming a corporation. I think it gets a little funny when it feels like a place that is supposed to come from the heart and like really like look out for you.
Well,
like gets pimped out and becomes a corporation and has a PR guy. Like that's when my like what's it called? My the red flags kind of like. Yeah.
So there's a lot of companies like this, and one of the ones that we found is called MDHI. It's called Metro Denver Housing Initiative.
Yeah.
And they're this go-between the homeless people and the assistants. So it's kind of like, what is their
when you say assistants?
So assistance between like getting more stable housing.
Okay.
Right?
Like these institutions.
Yeah.
Which are they taxpayer funded? Just to break it down, like so people understand.
So I looked really hard to try and find out where MDHI is getting their money.
It can't be up for donations.
I couldn't find anything.
Yeah, they're hiding the money.
The money's coming from somewhere, and it's
they're
for
hiding
sure
$483 million, and you can't find out where it's coming from.
At its core, it's coming from that $483 million. But if you want to dig deeper into that, okay? So MDHI, like you said, is set up exactly like a corporation.
Feels like
it has a board of directors, and it has a whole group of people that reports to the board of directors, just like a publicized company.
And I have no problem in terms of the hierarchy. I have a problem.
Hierarchy is important.
I 100% want a hierarchy because that creates like
stability,
all that culture, everything.
Yeah.
I have a problem when your mission, what's that called? The mission statement or whatever?
Yes.
Okay, go. Do you have a mission?
So this is actually something else I want to talk about, but finish your point. Let me pull this up.
have a problem when your mission statement doesn't justify the means of what you're doing, right?
Yeah, so for example, MDHI's mission statement is super short and incredibly vague.
That's a mission statement?
No, that's not the mission statement. So here it is. Mission. This is I'll show you the screen right here. Mission. Leading and advancing collaboration to end homelessness in Metro Denver. That's like
yeah. It's not, it's almost like I can't even make fun of that. It's too. That's. Could there be more? Or?
So if you actually, that's true. If you scroll down, it goes a little bit more in depth, right? There's 2 paragraphs now.
Still not.
Okay.
Yeah.
MDHI is Metro Denver Continuum of Care. Blah blah blah. The work includes street outreach, emergency shelter, transitional housing, rapid rehousing, prevention and diversion.
Can I ask you a question? I don't want to get too far into this. Can I ask you like lock in with me? It seems like every rescue mission or all these institutions that are put into place to kind of like help solve homelessness are very reactive. Nothing is like proactive. Yeah. Everything is like we can bring in these like what do they call them, encampments. It's like, no, can we talk about let's talk about the cost of living. Let's talk about the housing market. Let's talk about employment. Let's have those conversations. Let's talk about why it's so much. Talk about school for you, right? You've lived it. You've experienced going to college and still paying back that debt.
Like for what feels forever.
For what?
Gonna pay it forever.
With no ROI.
Nothing.
That, to me, if we talk about those things, is reactive. All this, like, let's set up a tent. Let's set up a little safe zone. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like you're putting a Band-Aid on, like, what we're continuing to develop. And I'm having a hard time getting on board with that.
So I want to ask you something, because this is something my buddy texted me last night. He said, talking about the podcast, he was like, if you guys say the words, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, I'm out. Right? Because in his mind, like, that idea is outdated and doesn't make sense in today's world. Yeah. And I don't disagree with him entirely, right? Like, to just say...
Like taking ownership?
Like, if we went out to either Thomas's today and said, Thomas, just pull yourself up by the bootstrap. Like, that doesn't make sense. You can't just say, work harder, right? Because he's already so far gone that he can't just be like, I'm just going to do better today.
Sure.
Right? So, but there is a level, though, of work ethic. And I'm not saying that either Thomas doesn't have a work ethic. But I think in general, like, there is a level of work ethic that you have to prevent homelessness.
Again, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. That's one thing. It's just like suck it up.
It's an easy phrase to be like, you're suffering.
It's an easy phrase, but it's also like even it's an easy phrase. But even if I believed you, like, yo, hey, you're right. Pull yourself. it's still just one thing. We don't live in a world where just like one
right.
thing.
You can't
exists.
just be like, oh, this is my only problem.
Nah, so it's everything is like layered, right? It's so many.
Yeah.
It's mental illness. It's like maybe you're not from this state or city. Maybe you don't have a family. Maybe you don't. You know, all these. It's so many variables, and it's. I hate like when we just try to chop it up to one thing. It's like multiple things can exist, right?
You've told this to me so many times. I hate being put in a box.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Imagine being put into a tent.
It's just
and then just being labeled homeless.
Well, I bought a camper, so
yeah. But imagine the nerve, right? You did that willingly to experience what they experienced.
My goal is
that's crazy
to go outside and like
experience
essentially
that.
do the homeless thing, right?
Yeah.
For fun.
Oh my god.
The difference is that I know I have somewhere to go. Like
the whites, they've evolved so much. They call it camping. That's some wild shit.
Stupid.
To get back. So okay. So the other thing that I noticed about homelessness and I don't know, maybe if this is like just kind of by luck, or maybe there's like a pattern here and I don't know enough about it yet, but did it not fascinate you to see that, like, when we had these conversations with some of these like amazing people and we go, hey, what do you want? What do you need?
Yeah.
What can we do for you? If the mayor was right here right now and you can ask him or tell him anything, what would you tell him? And they go, I would nothing. Can you ask him? If the mayor of Denver was here right now, what would you ask for?
Si ahorita estuviera aquí el gobernador de aquí de Denver, sí, el mayor, sí. ¿Qué es lo que usted le preguntaría o qué es lo que usted le quisiera decir a él?
Al alcalde.
Al alcalde, sí, de aquí.
Pues yo le preguntaría por qué usan a los hombres de esa manera y por qué todo el tiempo los tienen abandonados. ¿Por qué no les dan la debida atención que les deben de dar?
O en vez de ignorarlos.
Y en vez de los usan como carnada y cuando ellos necesitan el mismo gobierno los ignora.
So the question he wants to ask him is, why do they always ignore the homeless people? Like, why don't they put more attention to them? It's only for their convenience sometimes.
That blew my mind. Can you tell him that $480 million was spent on homelessness last year?
Según las estadísticas dicen que 480 millones de dólares
Air quotes.
Es lo que pagaron para las personas que no tienen lugar donde vivir.
Pero,
según.
And that we think they're not seeing that money.
Que ellos piensan que este dinero ustedes no lo están viendo.
Pero yo le voy a decir una cosa y a lo mejor usted va a decir está mal, está bien, pero ahí es donde está la controversia. Hablan mucho de dinero, de millones y esto y aquello, pero hay que ver qué tanto dinero se queda en el camino. Para no mencionar cosas, circunstancias, personas, hay que ver qué tanta agua se pierde en el camino.
Pues sí.
¿Sí me entiende?
Sí,
o sea, debemos de ser claros, conscientes y hacer las cosas de una manera para no engañarnos nosotros mismos. Es cierto lo que dice él y yo creo muchas veces que lo que el gobierno hace en muchas partes y que muchas cosas no se ven, pero en veces usted sabe que hay muchas cosas que a veces no se pueden mencionar por circunstancias.
So he's saying, the money, you can say there's 480 million, but we don't track it. So what's floating around there that we don't know, that they don't know either. So maybe another way would be for them to track it, for them to see where it actually goes. Because half the time, like, the money's here, the money's there, but where is it really at though? The whole time.
There's levels to homelessness. Tune back in. Episode 2 coming up. We're going to continue our research. Y'all don't know. We didn't know either. We live here. 5 points. RJ, get us out of here. I think I'm going to do so much better the second time because I'm comfortable. I got comfortable.
And maybe next time we don't get so drunk beforehand.